town of Aon Villa. It had taken us till nearly midday to get to the gates of the city. We walked beside our horses down a lovely dirt path. On both sides were buildings of wood in bright pastel colors with white trim, each with large yards of grass. The people, neat and clean, looked at us oddly, but welcoming. A girl that looked to be in her early 20s ran up to us cheerfully. She had dark black hair and a thin frame. Her green dress fitted perfectly, and her eyes seemed to be smiling as she spoke, bowing her head slightly. "Welcome to Aon Villa. I am Tianchi, but you may call me T. Everyone does. Are you from the horse herd?" "Tianchi." Please forgive her rudeness. An older woman, easily in her 40s, with nearly white hair, came up beside her. She was wearing all white, like a suit, with light blue trimmings and a pearl necklace. "Sorry, Dr. Mila. I'm just so excited to see them. I never thought I'd get to see some so up close." The older woman looked at us with a sideways glance and a smile. "Listening to her, you would think we were to put you in our zoo," she laughed. "But not to worry. You have no place there. As my young apprentice here stated, you are welcome here. We have seen few of your people in the past, so I assume you are going beyond us. Please use whatever resources you need. We have plenty to share. No need to let us know where you are headed. We trust in your journey." Dr. Furnius came forward. "Excuse me, madam, but the young lady called you doctor. Dare I ask, are you, as she says, a doctor?" The woman smiled slightly. "Why, yes, for many, many years. Most of us here are, even T here. We are known for our great medical work." Dr. Furnius looked to T. "Really? But she's so young." "Indeed, but we start teaching them early. Many accompany a surgery by age 10 if that is their wish. We don't force anyone to a field they don't desire to follow. By age 26, you choose if you wish to stay or leave to find your own path. T is nearing that time." "Astonishing. I'd love to see your facilities." Colt let the conversation end there with his own interruption. "Yes, well, actually we heard of your great medical field. Our good doctor here is looking for someone to follow in his steps. We have made some advances in the medical field ourselves, and we are always looking for new friendships to be found." Dr. Meal gave her full attention over to Colt, holding her hands together in front of her. "Well, then, clearly you are the lead on this. We here in Aon Villa are an open book. Ask, and we shall speak all truths." Colt looked her straight in the eye. "Do you have a Harlot's land here?" "Oh, goodness, no," T spoke up. Then Dr. Meal looked grimaced. "Definitely not. We rid our town of that many generations ago. We do not have connection to the other parks. We here preserve human life and persevere to make life a long one with great possibilities. We can talk so much more on this later. We do have a hotel here. We receive many travelers looking for help medically, but we always have a room or two to spare. T, why don't you take them there to clean up and rest? I'm sure your journey was a long one. Please allow your horses to rest in the barn next to the hotel. The food and water in Aon Villa is all free and clean for you. Nothing to worry about. No one will harm you in Aon Villa." Colt smiled. "Thank you." "You're very welcome. If you would like, tomorrow we could do a tour of the town. Is there someone in need of anything in your party here?" We didn't say anything. "We are just really tired. It's been a long ride. Of course, take them to the hotel to rest. I will cover the room as always." "Yes, doctor," T said with a smile. She partially began to skip off, then turned around. "Well, come on. T manners. Best get going. I will see you again when you are rested tomorrow. Good evening." And we followed T cautiously to a large purple house with a white sign and golden letters that said simply, Hotel Colt. Keeping his eye on the hotel, he spoke to Henry. Henry put up the horses. T looked over to them. "Could you wait till I get everyone else settled? I've never seen a horse up close. I'd love to help." Henry looked to Colt, who was still looking toward the hotel. "Very well? Goody," T said with glee. She flowed up the ramp and opened a door in front. It was the lobby, where a well-built woman stood behind the counter. "Hello, Miss Mabeline. Do you have any empty rooms available?" T said happily. "We have the suite room available. 2 beds and a pull-out. It's all I have available." Next to the counter was a woman and her son, thin and pale in a wheelchair, no more than 5. "Hello," the boy said as T continued to talk with the desk lady. "Hello," I said back. He smiled gently. "Are you sick too?" I smiled. "No, I'm not sick. I'm going to get better now. Mama brought me here, and the doctor said they can make me better." "Shh!" Sam, I'm sure the nice lady doesn't need to be bothered. The mother tried to hush him. He's quiet, all right. I have a son and daughter myself. I bent down to him to see him in his eyes. I hope you feel better real soon. Thank you, the mom said softly as she wheeled past us as I stood. Someone opened the door for her as she took her son out for a stroll. Once the door was closed, the desk lady said under her breath, "Poor kid." I looked to her. Isn't he going to get well? The desk lady looked me dead in the eyes, holding up a gold key. Well, one way or another, his chances are better here than out there. I so wanted to ask what she meant, but decided not to just yet. She took her hand forcefully, gesturing the key again. Room 103, third floor. Enjoy your stay? Would you like a wake-up call? She looked over to T as Colt grabbed the key from her hand. She still didn't break eye contact with me, making me uneasy. Yes, make it 8 sharp. Thank you, Mrs. Maybelline. T then turned to us sharply. I'll tell your friend what room you are in, and I will escort you in the morning to your appointment with Dr. Meal. Enjoy your rest. Well, I'm off to help your friend with the horses. Colt looked to her kindly. Thank you. T just smiled and bowed slightly. My pleasure. Dr. Furnius was to the back, not saying a word as we made our way up the stairway, but we could hear him huffing behind us as we got to the 3rd floor. He was entirely out of breath. The door was brown with gold numbers 103. Colt put the key in the knob and turned it slowly. The door opened to a brightly lit room, the floor with a wood-type look, cream-colored walls and ceiling, a floral purple couch, and 2 large beds. Not one for privacy, are they? Colt said, almost in a whisper. Never mind that, the doctor said hurriedly, finding a new energy about him. He started searching the room frantically, opening a closet at first, and then another door with a sigh. He fully opened the door to reveal a bathroom. Oh, thank goodness for that, he said and rushed in, shutting and locking the door behind him. I think he will be a while, I said, almost laughing under my breath, but Colt was serious. His chiseled face stared at a curtained window. Going over to it, he looked down as I came over. From our view, we could see a large barn, a grassy meadow that reached out fenced. A few horses, not our own, were already grazing. I could see T helping Henry with the saddles, giggling. She remind you of anyone? Colt asked, almost with a sternness to his voice. She does seem a lot like Henry was. So you see it too? Yes, but do you think she is like Henry? I'm not sure. I don't trust this room to not be a device into finding what we are up to, nor do I trust that Dr. Mila. I put my chin on Colt's shoulder. Well, they're going to find out what they want to find out eventually. Maybe tomorrow will clear things up. We all stay together tomorrow, no separation unless forced, agreed? Yeah, I said with a sigh. We saw Henry finish with the horse and walk out of sight with T. What's he up to? Colt said, turning to go after him, but I stopped him by taking his arm. Let's trust him for the time being. Colt looked to me. I just can't do that, Snowfeather, I'm sorry. He's probably just coming up now. Give him a moment to get to the room. 5 minutes for you, Colt smiled, and there we stood and waited. We heard the toilet flush and a shower start. 5 minutes had easily passed when Colt started for the door. Stay here, he whispered, about to open the door when the knob started to turn. Henry, no worse for wear, looked shocked to see Colt facing him down. Yes, Henry said. What were you doing? I saw you go off with T. What kind of person do you think I am, Colt? I am a gentleman. Nevertheless, have you forgotten what I went through? Females will not be in danger of bearing the burden of my children any longer. I wasn't talking about that. What did you talk with her about? Oh, you know, girls, she stopped nonstop about the horses and your horse Mac being her favorite because, and I quote, prettiness. She asked if she could braid his mane, but I told her it wasn't my horse. Mac was a good boy. Henry finished speaking. We that knew that meant Mac hadn't talked yet. Anything else? Yes, actually, she said she was going to have some pizzas sent up to the room and wanted to know the toppings. I told her anything would be fine, but she insisted on specifics, so it took a moment for that. I told her green peppers, olives, mushrooms, and sausage, one with pepperoni and onions, and a plain cheese pizza in case no one wanted toppings. That's it then? Yes, Colt looked into Henry's eyes. I'm sorry, I should have tended to the horses. That was a bad decision on my part. Tomorrow, let's try to stay together. Very well. Henry looked around the room. My, what a nice room considering the circumstances. Hopefully the doctor won't take all the hot water. I would so like a bath. Speaking of which, Colt said, knocking on the bathroom door. Hey, Doc, dry off, get dressed. Then turning back to Henry, he whispered to Henry's ear. No baths. Get clean as you can with as little water as possible. But run the shower. The door opened up. Dr. Furnius was in his same clothes drying his hair. Henry looked to Colt. I appreciate the concern, but if this room has ears, it more than likely has eyes. I prefer to take my chances for a bath. I may have come with you, Colt, but don't forget I'm not of your herd. I am now of the sea people. My place is in the watery brine. You have no command over me when I'm not in your herd's land. If the water is not clean, I will know. Now excuse me, I'm going to go take my bath. Henry handed Furnius his overcoat as he walked past, shutting the door behind him. He is right, I said. Colt turned to see me. He might be right in his words, but not right in his actions. I'm just trying to keep him from any mishaps. A few moments passed, the water stopped running, and a knock came to the entrance door. Pizza, a voice said loudly. Colt opened the door, and there was a young man, maybe 18 if that, at the door, wearing an outfit that looked like cheese, with different toppings, as a pattern. Colt took the pizzas from him. Thank you. I spoke up from behind. What do we owe you? The man shook his head slightly, letting his face turn into a bigger smile. Nothing. It's all been covered by Dr. Mealy. Enjoy. Colt looked to the guy. Is this normal? The guy looked up in thought, then back to Colt. Far back as I've worked at Pizza Palace, she's always covered the costs of guests. She tips great, too. Colt said thanks one more time and shut the door, placing the pizza boxes of white on the small round table. Opening the first box with the cheese topping. This is bread with melted cheese, and it's so thin. Strange how it is not burned. I smiled. I guess you've never had pizza before. It was very rare, even for me growing up, but it's good. There's tomato sauce under the cheese. You'll probably like the topping more. Sliding that box off onto the table, he opened another box. Taking out a piece I could see had mushrooms on it. He looked at the piece a moment, then took a bite. Wait to eat? Let's be sure there's no effects on me. How does it taste? The old doctor said. Colt shook his head. It's edible, not to my liking. Colt finished his piece and then another. Then we waited a few minutes. I feel fine. Should be safe to eat, Henry. Pizza is here. With that, we could hear the water drain. I'll be out momentarily. Henry's voice boomed out. I took 2 slices. Furnius took 4. He was quite famished. Henry came out and looked at the pizza boxes, choosing a piece of cheese pizza for himself, but he picked at it till finally he got most of it down in an hour as we talked. After a while, we broke up the rest of the pizzas and flushed them. The night came soon in the darkness. Colt sat on a chair giving the doctor a bed, Henry the couch, and I the other bed. I got up around 3 a.m. and sat by him. You should rest. I can take over. You can't stay up every night, I whispered. Colt took my hand, kissing my cheek softly. Do you think I am a good stallion? He whispered. I smiled, holding to his hand tightly. It's just my opinion, but I think you are one of the best, though I haven't met many. You are smart, strong, handsome. Colt interrupted in a whisper. But are my decisions the right ones? I question it daily. I go over so many paths in my head till they all combine one way or another at some point, making me wonder if another path would have had a different outcome. I kissed his hand. And that is why you are a great stallion. Don't question that. Now get some sleep, love. He went over to the bed and slept on top of the covers. The morning came and a ring went off in the room exactly at 7:59. We all awoke, fixing our hair and clothes to look presentable. We headed downstairs. The halls were already a bustle with many people. I saw Sam's mother waiting by an elevator with Sam. He waved and I waved back with a smile. He did seem a little better this morning. We went down the stairwell to the desk where a man had taken over. He held himself by the counter, arms crossed on its top. Breakfast is in the nook. People had already made lines getting flatbreads, fruits, and some yogurts. I figured if any food would be safe, it would be more than likely here, so I looked to Colt. I'll grab some muffins. Still in Colt's view, I grabbed 4 muffins and placed them on a plate. We walked outside as the inside was rather full of people now getting breakfast. We ate the muffins outside in the warm sunlight. Some people were sitting on the grass doing the same. T came up now in a yellow dress with small embroidered sunflowers on it. "Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Henry. Sorry I don't recall your names from yesterday. I see you had breakfast. If you are done, we can go to the hospital." Colt spoke up. "That's because we don't give our names easily as some." "Understandable. Perhaps soon once you see we are good people," T smiled. We walked with her to the other side of town. The large mirrored building we saw from afar was even more astoundingly clean up close. Dr. Meal's office is top floor. This building is 100 stories tall at its highest point and 50 at its lowest. She knows every room in and out. She's the first to arrive and the last to leave each day.